Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Friday Live. Why is my background so blurry? Hang on a second. What have I done? Let me see if I can change that. I've obviously pressed something I shouldn't have pressed. 1 second. Ah, there we go. That's better. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Friday Live. It's Fiona Lucas here, coming to you live, as I do, at approximately this time every Friday, around somewhere between 12 and 12:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So big welcome to you on this gorgeous Friday. Spring has sprung here in Melbourne. It's actually quite a nice day here. It's nice and warm. We're definitely feeling the weather change, which gets me very excited. Love spring. It's my favorite time of the year. So if you're just tuning in live, and I know a couple of people are coming on now, this is Friday Live, where I will answer any questions that you have, anything at all. Maybe there's something going on in your relationship. It could be obviously a relationship with an intimate partner. It could be a relationship with your children. It could be a relationship with someone at work, your relationship with yourself. The great thing is it doesn't matter what the relationship is. The understanding that I teach will help you in any and every relationship in your life. And so it's a very freeing thing to have when you know that you can take this understanding into any and every relationship out there. So excuse me, I just rushed a bit of lunch down before I jumped on here because I've got such a busy day today. So I do apologize. So I've got a few questions here that people have sent through, and I'm going to answer those for you. But if you have just jumped on, obviously, please say hi. I always love it when people say hi to me. I'd love to know where you're listening from, where you are in the world, and where you're listening from. So if you have just joined me live, please jump in the comments there and say hi, and let me know where you're listening from. I am in Melbourne. I'm in the Mornington Peninsula in Melbourne, which is a gorgeous part of the world near the water down here. It's a lovely, lovely part of the world. So I'm going to bring up some of the questions, but if you do have a question, feel free to post it in the comment box and I will answer it for you. This is what this is all about. I'm just here to be of service and really show you there is an easier way to be in relationships. There's an easier way to show up to life. There's an easier way to just move through life in general. Okay. So, and I want as many people as possible to know this here. So I'm reaching out saying, there is an easier way just to do life, guys. There really is, where you can feel calmer, clearer, more grounded in yourself, where you get over things with more ease, where you've got more bandwidth to deal with things. It feels like you've got more space in your head, more time. You can put down all the massive overthinking that gets in the way. And these are the things that cause relationships to break down. All right, they really are. It's these things that cause relationships to break down. It's not a lack of compatibility. That's not what causes relationships to break down. It's not a lack of compatibility. It's not a difference in values. It's not because you have nothing in common. It's not those things. It's a lack of goodwill, people with busy, sped up minds, and people not knowing how to navigate their experience, not knowing how to navigate themselves. This is what causes relationship issues. This is what causes us to have extreme levels of anxiety and extended low moods, and when we feel like we can't, when we're stuck and we're just in this same old pattern of stuckness and we can't get past it. It's these things. So when you have an understanding of these things, you'll start to see everything shift in all sorts of areas of your life. But hey, hello, everyone. Oh, look at this. Lots of people saying hi to me. Thank you. Hi, Carol. Hi, nice to see you. Thanks so much for saying hi. Hi, Jason. Appreciate you saying hello. Hey, Roz. Hello from Sydney. Nice to see you, Roz. Susan, it's pouring down rain here in sunny Florida. Oh, it's 10:30 at night. Is it really? Wow. 10:30 at night for you guys. Okay, well, I'm impressed that you're here on this live. So thanks, Susan. Thanks for saying hi. Rochelle. Hi, Rochelle. You're in Invercargill, New Zealand. Oh, wow. Okay, great. I love it. Thanks for letting me know where you are. Hi, Annie. You're from Traralgon, Latrobe Valley. Beautiful. Not too far away from me at all. Gorgeous part of the world. Hi, Anne. Thanks for saying hi. Hello, Leanne. Nice to see you. Hi, Sandy. I know Sandy's in Nebraska. And hi, Rose. I know Rose is near Mount Shasta, California. All right, so I know where some of you are. So thank you so much for saying hi. Now, if you are tuned in and you do have a question, don't be shy. Feel free to post it below and I will answer it for you. You're having a heat wave. I know you guys are having a heat wave in California. It's huge. It's full on, isn't it? I know I was actually speaking to a lady in Montana yesterday who said they're also having an extreme heat wave there and bushfires and all sorts of things. So I can't even imagine. Now, and I do know that being in Australia, this is something that we deal with every summer as well. It's really quite intense. So I really do understand what that feels like. Okay, so I'm going to address some of the Facebook lives or some of the questions that have come my way for you today. But like I said, if you do have a question, feel free to post it below and I'll do my absolute best to answer it for you. Hi, Peter. Thanks for saying hi. Beautiful rain in Brizzy. Yes, I was actually speaking to a lady in Brisbane just before. She said it was raining pretty heavily. So, okay, great. Thanks for saying hi, Peter. I'm going to answer these questions from the basis of the understanding that I teach. All right. Because, I know when people look in this direction, massive things change. Massive things change. We feel calmer and clearer, and we just have a lot more to offer to ourselves and the people around us. Okay. And this is very, very, very important. So I'm all about building relationships from the ground up, not the top down. All right. So think of the understanding that I teach as the concrete slab of a home. You can't build the walls, the roof, the ceiling, or anything until you've got the concrete slab down correctly, until you've got all the drainage, all the pipes, everything in place. From there, when you have that nice and strong, you can build anything and everything on top of that. It could be a single-story home, it could be a double-story home, it could be a couple of townhouses, it could be anything, right? It could be any type of dwelling, as long as we get the foundation right. So think of the understanding that I teach as giving you the foundation that you can then take into any and every relationship in your life. Now, there are three main areas, right? Your relationship with you, your relationship with others, and your relationship with life. So we're always in relationship with something. Always, which is why being good at relationships is just this fundamental life skill that we all need, because you're always in relationship with something and you will be your entire life. It doesn't matter what job you do. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter what your religious background is, your culture, your gender, your age, your education, how much money you have. You are always in relationship with something. And the quality of your relationships in those three areas, your relationship with you, your relationship with life, and your relationship with others, will determine the quality of your life day to day, moment to moment. Absolutely. And it's this thing that is completely underappreciated, which is why, we only tend to look in the direction of being better at our relationships when we're in crisis point, when we've got a really important relationship breaking down, we think, oh, I need to do something. But really, if you saw this as this is just an essential life skill I need, we all need. It's not a failure on your behalf if you want to go and learn this stuff, all right? It's not a failure. It's just this is what we need in order to show up to life the way we want to. I notice when I teach this to my clients and the students in my Relatable program, that often what people say to me is, I feel so proud of myself. I really like who I am at the moment. Why? Because they're actually showing up to life and others the way they've always wanted to. They've always secretly wanted to, but never thought that they could. They're more patient, they're kinder, they're more understanding. They can feel that they have more to offer and more to give, right? This is what people say to me all the time. Now, I want you to imagine for a second, if you're someone who feels like you have more on offer, more to give, more to contribute, you're calmer, patient, kinder, how do you think you're going to feel about yourself, right? These are fundamental things that everybody wants to have an experience of and to know that they can bring to the table. How do I know this? Because I talk to people all day long, right? I do, from all walks of life all over the world. And it's a privilege and an honor to be able to do so. But I can tell you this is what people want. Why? Because it doesn't matter who I'm speaking to, from what country, what culture, everybody says that's exactly what I want. I love knowing that I can bring this to the table, whether it be work, whether it be my kids, whether it be home, whether it be to myself. It feels really good to know I can do this, Fiona. Like, yeah, I hear you. I understand, because that's exactly how I feel, right? I know it feels good to be able to do that, to be able to show up to someone that we love from a completely different space, to be patient if they're not behaving all that well or they're not showing up the way that we want to be able to love someone through their insecurities instead of judging them through their insecurities, which is what we all do. Right? Instead of reacting when someone isn't showing up the way we want to be able to bring something else to that person, to be able to contribute in a way that you never thought you could. This is what being great at relationships is all about. You don't need to wait till you've got a relationship that's important to you and it's in crisis to learn this stuff. You can learn this stuff without being in crisis and just start bringing it into your life. Why? Because it feels good, because you actually can see that you've got something to contribute to the people around you. You've got something to offer. You don't have to operate through the lens of your insecurities, which are things like judgment and anger and shutdown and manipulation, which is what so many of us do. You've just got more on offer. And it feels good for people to know that. It truly, truly does. Jason, finally a bit cooler weather in Texas. I can imagine. Well, that's good. That must be a relief. Hey, Tanya, thanks for saying hi, darling. I hope it's a nice day in New Zealand. Wendy, hello, Wendy. Oh, my goodness, from Boston. Hello. Been a long time since I've spoken to you, Wendy. So nice to see you, honey. Thank you so much for saying hi. I really appreciate it. That's so lovely. Oh, love this. Okay, so if you do have a question, post it in the comments below. I'm going to start with the first question that came up here that was emailed to me. Hi, Fiona. Absolutely loved your book, and it's such a help to recognize I don't need to fix, change everyone and everything. I'm almost 73 and I'm just now finding this out. Had I known this years ago, I would not have gone through four divorces. Yeah, not the first time I've had someone say that to me. Better late than never, and I now see so many ways I misunderstood my partners. My biggest area of need right now is that my sister and her partner have sold the home we've been renting from with no notice. We have to pack up and be out in a month, and it's a 4-bedroom house. It contains many things that are precious to me. It may take a little while for me to be in the same space with her again, and I'm searching for a place to live or with or without all my accumulated stuff. But it's hard at the moment with the housing market the way it is. I'm trying to keep a positive attitude and realize that all my possessions are just things that I can survive without. It came as such a shock. And if you have words of wisdom that can counter this feeling of panic, I would love to hear them. Your advice on relationships could not have come at a better time. Thank you. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. Now, I love this question because this is a great example of your relationship to a problem. Okay, so remember I said we're always in relationship with something, with ourselves, with others, and with life. And so, how you show up to problems, how you meet your experiences and your problems is a great example of your relationship with life. Okay, so if we see life as hard, if we see life as never going our way, if we see ourselves as unlucky, which absolutely used to be me, that would be how I would have related to life and experienced life. If we look at life that way, then you could say we don't have a great relationship with life. And so what happens is we go through life with the most complicated way possible when our relationship with life isn't so great. Now, I'm not saying this person doesn't have a great relationship with life, but I'm saying how we meet our problems, okay, how we handle things when life hits, okay, because it always does. There's always something, all right, that comes out of the blue that we weren't expecting, all right? This is why many people say life is a contact sport. There's always something that just shows up out of the blue that we weren't expecting, and it always seems to be just when we thought, everything was worked out, sorted out, boom, something happens that we weren't expecting. So it's how you meet that, how you relate to that has a very big impact on your level of well-being, all right? So as this lady is saying, or this person is saying, as I'm feeling panicked and worried and concerned, I'm feeling frightened. Now, if we get frightened every time there's change and uncertainty, we will find life harder to move through, okay? And that also then ripples out into our relationships. So what I would be saying is this. If you're going through something really unexpected, and that's where you could kind of put this question, right? It goes in the realm of something unexpected's happened and it's kind of swept the rug out from under me, and I'm panicking and I'm worried and I'm scared, right? What do I do? And I think this is a really great question because this is something that happens to us every single day in some way or another, okay? It's really important to understand that nothing is ever as urgent as it looks. That's the first thing. You do not want to try and solve a problem through the lens of urgency. Urgency is very untrustworthy. Urgency makes everything look 10 times worse than it is. And urgency will have your mind going very, very, very fast. And when our mind's going very, very fast, it is harder for us to find solutions. All we can see is what's missing. All we can see is this huge mountain that we have to climb. All we can see is how hard it is, right? And that has you feeling helpless and hopeless and stuck in this same cycle. You know, fresh, healthy thinking is always going to be your greatest asset, no matter what the problem is. And you don't want to be going round and round in a cycle of the same stuff. So, first of all, be very skeptical of urgent thinking. That would be the first thing I would say to you. Urgency is untrustworthy thinking. Nothing is ever as urgent as it looks. And trust me when I say that even in a situation like this, where you feel that there's a lot of uncertainty and you don't know what's happening, wait for that urgent thinking to pass. Do not make decisions. Do not try and problem solve. Do not try and deal with it from that space. All right? Wait for that to pass, because what you need is fresh, healthy thinking. Always, always, always going to be your greatest asset. Okay? Always. Fresh, healthy thinking is like night and day. And so that will give you a completely different experience of this same thing. So ignore the urgent thinking. Don't operate from a place of urgency. Don't make phone calls. Don't look. Don't anything. Just right. Don't even try and have a conversation with your sister about this from a place of urgency, because we don't have the emotional intelligence to handle anything. Right. Okay. We don't have the emotional intelligence. What you need is emotional intelligence to handle any problem that comes up in your life, right? Any problem. This is why knowing how to navigate yourself first, which is very much what I teach, helps you navigate anything that can come your way, whether it be a problem, a situation, circumstances, another person. Okay. And it's through there where you feel empowered. And so, you want to be able to build up a faith and trust in life that things will work out, because you want to bring a different energy to things. Concern creates concern. When we have a knowing that things work out, right? And that may not mean it works out exactly what we imagine, but it always works out. When you bring that knowing to something, it's amazing how you can move through something with a sense of calm, how you can expand through uncertainty and actually find a sense of peace around a really challenging situation. And you're much, much, much more in a better position to see the solutions to something. It's harder for us to see solutions, right? It's harder for us to see opportunity when our mind is busy. Okay, as a mentor of mine used to say, the biggest blockage to intimacy and the biggest blockage to solving a problem is a busy mind. Okay, you got to see that first. We cannot solve things from a busy mind. It is so hard, and it's also exhausting. So don't do this through a place of urgency. Have faith and trust that things will work out, and realize that when your mind has slowed down, that's when you will see opportunities and when you've got better access to solutions. It's just harder to see them in a busy mind. So that's the absolute first place. And notice that as your mind slows down and speeds up, the feeling you're in will change with it. Okay? All right? All right? The feeling will change with it. So it's really important to understand that. You can navigate this through a space that is more hopeful, expansive, and intuitive. Okay? And you want to be tapping into that when it comes to dealing with any kind of problem, because that will always bring you the solution that you're looking for. You won't find it in your analytical mind, right? You find the solution through accessing a different aspect of yourself. It's always there, no matter what, and it's in the background when your mind is busy, but you want to know how to access that. Okay? So that would be my response to that. Don't try and solve this through the urgency of a busy, sped up mind. It's just so much harder to find the solution that you're looking for. All right. You want to access a different type of intelligence, right, that comes through and brings you fresh thinking, problems, solutions, and opportunities that you can't necessarily see when your mind is busy. All right. Okay. And also understand that your experience is not fixed. Okay, our experience is never fixed. It's forever changing around the same thing. So fascinating when you see that. Okay, next question. Hi, Fiona. I'm a busy mum of three. And I have a question for you. How can I move forward in my mind with my husband when we have been separate for 9 months? And we've come back to try and work things out. He now has a single life without me and kids, and I'm paranoid at the fact that I don't know his new mates. I don't know if he's talking to girls on the phone or guys. I kind of feel the more I want to get close to him, I can't because I know that he texts people that, and I don't know who they are. And it very much frustrates me, especially when I have talked to him about it. I trust him, um, but I just don't like the fact that I know I'm not talking to anyone else. Right, you're not talking to anyone else, okay, but I know that he has had so much time to himself to be free and single, and I didn't. And now it feels as if I'm an outsider where I feel like I should be at least coming into being one again with him, especially if we're trying to make us work. I understand fully we've both been through a lot of hurt, so it's difficult to come straight back to where we once were. I just hate feeling like this, and it keeps me second guessing if marriage can even really, truly work. Thanks for your time with this. Okay, great. All right. Great question. Hey, Brian. Hi. Thanks for saying hi. Nice to see you. Brian, I'm from Bendigo physically, but the mind can be anywhere and I'm not far from home thanks to this understanding. Yeah, I know you are, Brian. I know. Yes, you can say that. Definitely, Wendy. Absolutely. Absolutely. For sure. For sure. Okay. So, um, what I want to just say to this lady is this. What you've got to understand, and this is true of all human beings, all right? When goodwill is low, we always see things through a more difficult, upset frame of mind. So, in other words, when goodwill is low, fear is higher. Okay, let's just say that when goodwill is low, fear is higher. So I can hear a lot of fear in that question, a lot of fear, right? Now, what you want to be mindful of is that when you bring fear into any kind of interaction, you will get that mirrored back at you. Okay, you will get that mirrored back at you. So, for example, if you're coming from a place of fear and you're saying to him, who are you talking to? I don't like the fact that you're talking to a lot of people. He will get defensive. So instead of him being calm and being able to listen to what you're saying and understand where you're coming from, he will get defensive. He will feel defensive. He will feel like he has to justify himself and say to you that you're being silly, for example. So it can feel like you're being gaslighted, is what people call it, right? Where someone's not listening. But often, if that is the case, it's because you are bringing something that's flavoring the situation. Don't hear this as fault. Okay, I don't deal in terms of right, wrong, good, bad, blame, etc. Right? I just don't. That is completely irrelevant to this. It's about understanding what's going on and bringing understanding to a situation so you can understand for yourself. Okay, all right, maybe I'm coming into this situation and I've got a lot on it, and that's causing him to feel like he has to defend himself rather than providing space for him to truly hear what it is you have to say. Okay. And I see this all the time. So the energy exchange is one of upset, fear, worry, concern, and it fills the space, right? Because we're always interacting energetically before we are physically. Always, always, always. All right. And if some of you are sitting there thinking, what do I mean by that? Take a second to think. Have you ever been in a meeting? Or maybe you've walked into a shop. Or you're standing in a queue somewhere and you can just feel the person in front of you or behind you is has a lot going on, or maybe they just feel a bit off to you, or you're getting a funny vibe. That's because your energetic frequency is interacting with their energetic frequency and you're reading off each other. Okay, not a word has been said, but you're reading this off each other. This is going on with people all the time. This is why you have got to know how you are showing up. You've got to be aware of the flavor you are bringing, the space. Okay. Now, if you don't understand this, what can happen is we can keep innocently projecting something onto someone and wondering why we're not getting much back, or wondering why we're getting shut down and defensiveness and anger back. Again, I'm not saying it's your fault. This isn't about fault. Don't hear this that way. It's about you understanding maybe there's something I'm bringing that's having this reflected back at me. Because the amazing thing about life is when you really understand how we create our reality, when you understand the nature of what it is to be human and really the principles behind that, okay? You start to see that everything around you is a mirror of the energy you're bringing. Not your fault, but a mirror. Okay? I just want to check in and see if what I'm saying is making sense. So I'm not saying it's anybody's fault, but everything is a mirror. Okay. Now, the biggest objective I hear when I make these kind of statements is people say, well, what about if you're in an abusive relationship? And what about if you're in a relationship with a narcissist? And what about this and what about that? And I hear all of that, right? Okay. I was in a relationship with a narcissist, many, many years ago, and I fled that relationship with two little boys. So I understand. Okay. I understand what that is like, how disempowering and difficult it is. So I'm well aware, and I'm not dismissing that. But I can tell you right now, how I was showing up there was being reflected back at me. I'm not saying I was responsible for that person's behavior. I'm not. But there was an awful lot of fear coming back my way, an awful lot of overthinking coming my way, an awful lot of me being shut down and asleep at the wheel was being reflected back at me. Okay, does that make sense? Once I started to wake up, once I was no longer asleep at the wheel, once I started to have access to different thinking, once I started to navigate myself differently, I got access to ideas, fresh thinking, solutions, and I was able to find a way out of that situation. So in other words, as I started to show up differently, I started to see this reflected back at me. Not so much in the fact that he was nicer to me, but in the fact that I started having very different realizations about where I was at and what was possible for me and for me to see fresh choices. That's what I mean, okay? And so it's really important. I'm going to say to this person, if you really want to create this, change this, this marriage, and yes, marriages can really truly work. You've got to see that this is your problem, right? This is your stuff that you're bringing and projecting, and you need to go and get some help with it, all right? So that you can show up from a neutral place and not flavor your interactions with that. That's going to be my answer to that question. It's very, very important when you can see what belongs to you and what belongs to somebody else. This is very, very important, all right? But you're bringing a lot of fear, you've got a lot of overthinking, and you're projecting that in, and it looks like the answer to that is he needs to get off his phone, he needs to do this, he needs to do that. And maybe there is an element of that that needs to go on. I'm not saying it's not, but it won't change until you shift what you're bringing. Does that make sense? Until you're not bringing fear and worry and upset. When you're able to bring something else, and you truly are able to do it. I really want you to know that. This is true for all of us. This is the true potential of every human being, is that we have this extraordinary capacity to have any experience around anything. We truly do. And it's something people don't understand enough about themselves. And I wish everybody knew this. I think it would change so many things for so many people. You are not trapped in your experience of something. Okay? You are not. There's more on offer for each and every one of you around whatever experience it is you're having right now. I promise you that. Hey, Jesse, I've been in a weird loop of regression. It's strange when you witness yourself bringing a sour flavor, but are able to witness it at the same time. Okay. Yeah, it is. It's interesting, isn't it? It's amazing, though, when you can see that, because that's the first step to creating any form of change, right? Is being able to see yourself, being able to have the awareness of what you're bringing to the table. Without awareness, we have no choice. And without choice, we can't choose something else. So first thing I want to say to you is good for you that you have that awareness. All right? Awesome. And so then the next question is, what are you going to do about that, right? Now that you have this awareness, what are you going to do about that so that you can bring something else? This is the choice that we have. Okay. You don't want to be drowning in, I'm a terrible person and what's the matter with me and all of that kind of stuff. That won't help you. But you want to say to yourself, okay, I've now been given the gift of seeing. There's a gift in that because it brings the gift of choice. I've been given that gift. What am I going to do about it? It's very, very important. A number of years ago, when I came across the understanding that I teach, one of the first things I saw was, and I know some of you have heard me say this, it was very humbling, but I was very grateful for it at the same time. I could really see that I was full of resentment, full of justification. I was bringing a lot of judgment into my life and into my relationships. I had a lot of judgment of myself and others. I didn't handle life very well when life hit. I felt that life was, I was very unlucky and that life was very unfair. This was the flavor that I was bringing to a lot of things. And so when I really started to see that, and I got the gift of really seeing it, it's like, oh my goodness, now I get to choose something else. What do I want to do about that? Because that's not what I want to bring anymore. I don't want to live in the feeling of that. I don't want to bring that to my life. And you all, right? This is a choice we all have, even if it looks like we don't. And I get that. I get many of you feel like you don't have it. I truly do appreciate that because I've felt that way many times. That's why this understanding is so incredibly empowering. It's been the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And I say this to people all the time. The greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And it's something that I live by and have in my life constantly. But it enables me to choose something else. It enables me to bring something else to the table, right? Now, I've got to go because I've got a client session very shortly, but I hope that this has been helpful. Here's the link to my 8-week online program, Relatable, where I teach this understanding step by step. There's a couple of students, I think, on the chat here today, so if you have a question, feel free to ask, and they'll answer it for you. But if you want to shift the way you're showing up, if you want to come from a different space, if you want to be able to navigate life differently with a greater sense of calm and peace, where you want to feel present and grounded and a strong sense of self and be able to handle your relationships differently, this is what I teach in Relatable. Okay, everybody, I will be here next Friday at somewhere. Oh, actually, I'm doing a client intensive next week. I'm doing a 4-day client intensive, so I may be. No, I should be showing up at around this time. No, that's all right. I will be showing up between 12 and 12:30. I will show up to you. I'll be there in a different space from the client intensive, where my client will be on a break by then. But I'll show up from you there, and who knows what I'll share with you what that's like and what we've uncovered together. Awesome, Brian. Brian's on the chat here, happy to answer any questions. So if you have a question you want to ask him, he'll answer it for you about Relatable. If you do have any questions you want me to answer next week, please send them to hello@fionalukis.com.au, and I will answer them for you on the live next week. All right. Thank you, everyone. Oh, Rose is here. She'll probably answer a question for you. Rose is doing it from California. Brian's doing it from Bendigo. There's a couple of people here from all different parts of the world doing Relatable. So if you want to know more about it, ask these guys. All right, everybody. Lots of love to you all. See you next Friday. Thank you. Bye.